In today's video, we're going to build a website using HTML and CSS, and again we'll be using tables to create this web page. As you can see on your screen right now, we have been given the task to put these 3 Canon cameras inside a table and just write a little bit of information about them. At the moment, the web page is not made, obviously, so I can't show you the finished product, but it's basically going to look something like this. Okay, we're going to do up a table very similar to that, using HTML and CSS. So it's not too hard. We've done this before in previous tutorials. It's just going to recap on our knowledge that we have learnt. So to begin today, you will need to pop over to your account into your 10IPR folder. I'm going to make a new folder called Lesson 8 Cameras. Once you've made your Lesson 8 Cameras folder, open it up. Inside of there, you'll need an Images folder. Okay, this camera write-up is this document here, and you can copy and paste this information into your web page to save you typing it all out. Alright, so inside this Images folder, we've got 3 pictures, and that's the 3 camera pictures that we will be using. Okay, so make a Lesson 8 Cameras folder, make an Images folder, and copy and paste these 3 images from Curriculum Drive into that Images folder. Alright, we're good to get started now, so pop down to your Start menu, and we need to open up brackets. Once you're in brackets, we're going to start a brand new document. So hopefully mine doesn't lag for too long here. There we go, slowly loading up. Okay, so we'll go up to the top and go to File and New, and we get our blank HTML page ready to go. So we're going to go to File and Save As first before we start coding, and we're going to go across to our Documents folder where we just created our Lesson 8 Cameras folder. There it is there. Open it up. Don't go into Images, remember, just stay in Lesson 8 Cameras, and let's give it a name. You can call it Index or Cameras or whatever you'd like. I'll just write Cameras and put .html on the end so we know it's a web page that we are making. Let's click Save, and you are ready to start coding this web page up. So the first thing we want to add into our web page is the doc type. So exclamation mark, doc type, HTML. Pop down to the next line, and let's start our HTML tags off. We'll begin with our head section today as usual, and we will do a title, which basically says Canon Camera Comparison. Pretty easy. Beneath the head section, we're going to start the body section. Okay, you should be getting pretty good at this by now, so you should understand the structure of a web page now. Okay, and in our web page, we're going to start with a table. Alright, so let's do a table tag. Inside that table, we're going to have a table row. In the first row of our table, it's going to be our heading row, so let's write TH. And we're going to write Canon EOS 1D X SLR or DSLR. A lot of letters and numbers there, probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's just the model number for that type of camera. We're going to add another heading in now, which is going to be another column. We're going to write Canon EOS 7D Mark II DSLR. Again, just another code name for the camera. And finally, we'll add one more TH, which is one more column, and it's going to be Canon EOS 1200D DSLR. Okay, so that's the first row of our table sorted with 3 columns in it. Pretty easy. Let's go to the next row. So the next row is going to include the 3 pictures. So we make a new row up, we add TD, and we do our image source tag. Image source equals, and let's just use brackets helper guide here. We'll click on Images. The first camera is the 1D, so let's click on that middle image there, Canon 1D. Close the bracket off. That's got our image in. We'll do that for the next one too. So TD is going to start a new column. In the second column we've got the 7D Mark II camera, so let's put in another image source and let brackets do the work for us. There's the 7D, so we'll click on that. Close that tag off. Finally now in the third column we've got the EOS 1200D, so let's do our image source tags again and let brackets put in the 1200D picture for us. Okay, now it's probably a good time to save and just see how our page is looking. So I'm going to go to File and Save. If you've got live preview enabled, click that little lightning bolt now and just preview it. If not, you'll have to go into your accounts, find your Lesson 8 folder, and open up this HTML document. We'll have a look at how it's going. Hopefully it doesn't lag too long. Okay, there we go. So there's the first row of our table at the top with the names of the cameras. And then we've got our cameras in the second row. They are a little bit big at the moment. Might resize them later if we need to, but for now we'll just keep going with the coding. I'm going to go down below that second table row. Might just put a bit of space between these so you can see them a bit easier. Okay, and in the final table row we've got our information. Okay, so I'm going to write TD. I'm just going to copy that a couple of times so we've got it written in for our 3 columns. Now what I'm going to do is go back to the Word document for a moment. This is the information here we need to copy across. Okay, this bit plus this little caption which is in italics. So let's do the little captions first. So I'm going to copy that by pressing Ctrl C. Just pop back over here and paste that in. And to do italics, we just put the EM tags around that writing. Okay. What I'm going to have to do here is just push all this down to a new line. Okay. Because below that I've got to start a new paragraph. And in that paragraph I'm going to have all this writing. Okay, so I'll copy that as well. Just right click on it and copy, or press Ctrl C, whatever you prefer. And I'm just going to paste it in. Okay, and that's pretty much it for that column. So there it is, just there, the first column, which is the EOS 1D camera. We've got that little caption which is written in italics, that's why it's got the EM tags around it. Then we go to a new paragraph and put in that big chunk of writing. If I save that by pressing Ctrl S, and I'll go back to my web browser and refresh the page, you can see you've got all that writing in. Okay, we're going to do it for the other 2 cameras now. So back to brackets, we'll go down a little bit. Here's our TD tags for the next one. Let's get our EM tags up first, and we'll be able to copy and paste this little caption in. So I'll copy it by pressing Ctrl C, Ctrl V to paste it. Alright, so that's first line. Below those EMs, I'm just going to press Enter. We'll start a new paragraph. And we'll put in this big chunk of writing for the 7D this time. So Ctrl C to copy, Ctrl V to paste. Okay, so that's looking good. So this little section in here, this TD section, is the second column of our table. We've got the EM tag doing that little caption, and then we do a new paragraph and put in that big chunk of text. Okay, I'll just press Ctrl S to save it, pop back to the internet, and have a look at how that's going. Okay, not bad. We're starting to get our table to take some shape now. Once we get this last chunk of writing in, it'll look a bit nicer. Okay, so we'll pop down. Here we go. This is the last column now. We'll put in the EM tags again first, so we can put in. Oops, where am I going? This little caption. Okay, copy and paste that was. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Make a new paragraph up, and we're going to copy and paste that chunk of writing. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Alrighty, so we've got that in. If we save it and have a preview, we should have our table looking pretty nice at the moment. What we can do now is start to style our page up using our CSS rules. So let's pop back over here. We've pretty much got the bottom of our page finished here. So you've actually got your closing HTML, body, table, TR and TD tags all along the bottom there. It's time to go back up the top now and start styling this page up. So let's go up into our head section up here. I'm going to go beneath the title. We're going to add in a style tag so we can style our page up. First thing we want to do is our body tag. Okay, we're going to style the body up first. Inside the body, We're going to change the font family first of all to sans serif. Change the font size to 1em. Don't forget the semicolons at the end of these lines as we write these in. I might do some line spacing as well. So, whoops, it's line height, and it's 1.5 em for this one. That's about all we might do to the body text for now. So I'm going to close the body section off. So that little section there affects everything inside the body tags. So that's basically our whole web page. When I save that, go back to the web browser and preview it, we should see our text change. Okay, that's looking a bit nicer now. Back to brackets now. Next thing we might change is the headings in each column here. So we've got the TH tags for that. So I'm going to put in a TH, and let's go font size. Now 1em is the average size for the font. Let's change that. Let's try 2em and see if it's big enough for a heading. I'm going to close off the TH tags there. Okay, we'll just have a look. We'll save that, press Ctrl S, pop over to the internet and we'll have a look. Yeah, that's a pretty nice size. Okay, we can always drop that a little bit smaller if it ends up being too big, so we are going to make this table a bit smaller shortly. But I think that looks alright. Okay, so the other thing we do want to do to this TH section, or the heading section, is the background color. So let's change background color. We want like a light kind of grey, I guess. Sticks to that text sort of look. Got lots of dark greys. I can't see any light greys in there. So what I'm going to do is pick dim grey for a second. But then I'm going to right click on it and go to quick edit. And just drag this up a bit so we can get ourselves a nice light grey. We'll save that up and we'll see if our TH row changes colour. Yep, so we've got that light grey now in the background behind the text. The next thing I'm thinking we might do is add a little bit of padding around this first row. At the moment the text is sitting pretty much right on the edges of those grey borders around the outside of it, so we might give it a bit of room to breathe. So back in our TH tag here, where we're styling it up, we're just going to add padding. I'm going to try about 15 pixels of padding. Just press Ctrl S to save it again, and when I refresh this, watch the space that appears around the outside of that text. Just gives it a bit of breathing room. You can adjust that 15 pixels as needed till you think it looks good. Alright, so next thing, I think the table's a bit too big, fills up the entire page. I want to just bring it in a bit from the edges. So what I'm going to do, first of all, down here in my table tag, we've gone out of the style tags for the minute and we're down in the body section. So we're down in table here. I'm going to style it up first, just down here by writing border equals 1 and just writing a space. After border equals 1, I'm just going to align it in the center of the page. Okay, we can't style them up in the CSS tags for some reason, so we just do it down the bottom here. Border equals 1 and align it in the center. When I save that by pressing Ctrl S and have a look at it, you will see that ugly border appear. And our table is actually centered on the page, but because it fills up 100% of the width, we can't actually see it positioned in the center. So what we're going to do, up the top now again in our style section, I'm going to go above the TH area here, and I'm just going to add in the table style. So let's write table, open up a curly brace. First thing, let's get rid of that ugly border and just make it a thin line, so we'll collapse the border. The other thing is to change the width of the table. I might choose about 85% of the page, so it's not 100% anymore. It's just going to fill up a good chunk of the page, but not quite all of it. Okay, so there's the two things we just added in to have a look at. We collapsed the border into a single, like 1 pixel black border, and the width of the table should be 85% of the screen size. Let's have a look. There we go, so that's coming together pretty nicely at the moment. Next thing we might do, let's get these pictures centered in their row. Okay, so That's a TD section down here. Okay, it's also an image. What I'm thinking we need to do is style up the TD section. Okay, we could do it up the top here. I'll show you what happens when we do it. So if we go TD, in our style tags here, we're doing this. I'm going to write text align and pick center. That's going to center align pretty much everything that comes with inside a TD tag. So that's all the images, but also all the text. And I don't think this is going to look very good for the text. Let's have a look. Okay, pictures look great centered, but down here the text doesn't look so good. So what we need to do is leave the picture centered, but put the text back to its default left alignment. That can be a little bit confusing for the CSS code up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to scrap this TD tag here, and I'm going to write hashtag pics. Then I'm going to come down to this table row where I've got my pics, all my images. Inside that TR tag, I'm going to put a space and write ID equals pics. Oops, I should have done that in quotation marks. There we go. So what this is saying is this row of our table has a unique name now called pics. And up in my style tag, I've told the code to style up just that row by centering those images. A little bit confusing, but basically what we're doing now is just styling up this row as centered images, and we're not affecting any of these TD sections down the bottom which has all the writing in it. Okay, so that writing will just go back to its left alignment, which is the default alignment. This row here with the images now has a unique name called pics, and anything inside that table row will now be centered. Bit confusing, but we're going to work with that a little bit more in future tutorials, and you'll start to understand how that works. So I've saved it. The pictures should stay where they are. The text though down the bottom, when I refresh this, should go back to their default left alignment, which they have. So that's looking good. Okay, we need to tidy this up a little bit now, and we're almost finished. I think that the text is a little bit close to the edges of the page here, or of each column. Okay, so let's add a bit of spacing around everything. A little bit of padding. So what we're going to do to add the padding in, we've already got it on the TH section, so that's our header row. We're going to leave the padding there as it is. Where we do need to add it though is in the TD section now, so the table data rows. Okay, that's where we've got our images and our text, or our body text. So I'll add a TD tag into the style section at the top, and we're just going to write padding is equal to, I'm going to go 10 pixels, a little bit smaller than what our heading has, and just close that off. Okay, so that's all we added in. I'll press Ctrl S to save it, pop back to the internet, and there we go. We've got a nice little bit of white space now around each cell. Okay, that's looking good. This title up the top doesn't look very good. I think that text must be too big, so we're going to need to drop the size of it. So our TH section in our style tag is our header row. The font size is here. Let's change it to 1.5 EM. So it's still a little bit bigger than our main body text, but it's a bit smaller than what we've got now, and we'll see if that fits it in a bit nicer. It sure does. And that looks way better. Okay, we're almost done now. One of the last things I can see that we need to do is that our text down the bottom here, they're not quite aligned neatly across the top here. So the vertical alignment, it's called, isn't quite the same between each box. You can see this one on the right here is slightly lower than these two lines of text. We want to get them all in the same spot. So the way we do that is pop back to brackets here. Okay, in our TD section. Okay, we're going to need to write in text. Oh, sorry, not going to do that. We're going to do align. And it's this one here, vertical align. That's the one we're after. And we're going to choose text top. Do a semicolon. So in our TD section, our vertical alignment will be set to the top of each box. So when I press Ctrl S and save that, we should see this text just jump up a little bit to the top of the box. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Okay, I think one of our pictures moved then as well, but that looks fine. So now all our text is lined up neatly, starts in the same position in each cell. The only last thing I can see that might cause a bit of an issue over here, we've got some funny characters going on in our text. That's because we copied and pasted a bit of stuff from Microsoft Word. So all you need to do is go over to your code, go right to the bottom, and find this 1200D camera here. It wasn't happy with this little quotation mark inside the word your, so just delete it and put in a quotation mark again, and you'll see that it slightly changes. We save it, refresh the page, and it still hasn't fixed itself, so we'll let's just rewrite it, I think. Oh, here it is here as well. So there's a couple of words there you might need to fix up if you see this apostrophe. Save it up. Hopefully when I refresh it now, yeah, it's fixed itself. Okay, so just do a quick proofread through these and make sure none of the other characters are stuffing up. I can see one down here that will need a bit of work, so you'll have to go through and just make sure that each of those characters are deleted in your code and just put back in again. It's just because we copied and pasted the text from Microsoft Word that they look a little bit funny. Okay, might just add a background color quickly onto the page. I think it will look a bit more professional if we do that. So up the top we've got our body. Let's add background color. I'm going to choose black for this. Those blacks and greys are the kind of tech related colors, so I want to stick with that. And my table, I'll do the same for it. Give it a background color, and for that one I'm going to choose white. Okay, I'll save that up. This should be the last thing we need to do now. When I refresh it, we should see our page go black, but our table will remain white. Okay, that looks quite professional, I think. We've got all the details for 3 different cameras there. People can compare the differences between them. It's very easy to read. I think it's a job well done. Okay, so save it up, and that's all for this tutorial.